Nottingham Forest are an unexpected event in themselves. Sacking Nuno for got no clue, or Ange Postecoglou, who hasn't won in 7. Starting his reign off under Marinakis, who we know likes to sack managers, terribly, as Forest find themselves just above the relegation zone. Meaning this early in FC26, we head to the City Ground to help Ange's fortunes and turn Forest back into their previous selves when they were good. As yes people, welcome back to FC26 Rebuilds in the Premier League, and here we do have Nottingham Forest. I like this team, I really do. I think we're short on a comfortable left back. I'm not going to get into signing straight away because we are using live points, which is the reason we're now in the Europa League. And actually the day before recording this, Nottingham Forest lost to Midtjylland at their home opener in the Europa, as they sit there, and I think they've gone further back IRL because they drew to Real Betis. And then when we go to the Premier League, just above the relegation zone in 17th, still on 5 points, however, IRL, because Newcastle, as you see the next game is, they actually beat Forest 2-0. So this team suffered more defeats and this team got into Europe last year, almost getting the Champions League, and some of the players they have signed. Douglas Luiz is on loan, Dan Ndoye is a permanent, Cali Mwendo and Bakwa, 2 excellent players from over in League On. As contract-wise for this rebuild, I'm actually scrapping it. Our challenge is to just take Forest from the Europa League to the Champions and win it in however long it takes. There's some mini challenges I'm going to set myself as Chris Wood. Now, Postecoglou isn't from New Zealand himself, but he is from over in Australasia, and I'm going to go for an Australian player once we can spend some money, as we've got 57 million. However, find ourselves in September. As you can see, the 31st was the deadline for transfers, so in this first season, we are not going to be able to make any. And unexpected events is turned all the way to high because the owner Marinakis just makes it that no one can expect anything from this Forest group, as Postecoglou still in charge, but I am going to change it up. I'm going to go counter and definitely not deep. I think Postecoglou ball has to be a high line with a high team, so I'm going to add wingers in Hudson-Odoi and Ndoye, replacing a Langer that did really well against them. And I just think on the bench, some of these good players, such as Igor Jesus, he's another one. We've got Bakwa, we've got Hutchinson, Cali Mwendo, also down here to James McAtee. They are wonderful. Mateus Cunha, we do have some injuries. Savona, another youngster, he just arrived from Juventus. As I think first season, we trust this team we already have on paper, minus the left back, because Zinchenko comes in, and I think that's the place we will sign first if we don't get recovery from Olaina, who is currently out injured for 5 weeks. So I'm trusting the rest of this team with some 80 rateds to hopefully just get us over the line from the relegation places. That's all we needed saving from us. Hang about. We've finished 7th in the Premiership. Ange, or Ange Ball, stick by it seems. Yes, I know that's hard to digest, but if this game is anything to go off of, 20 points off actually getting a Champions League place, which is a lot. But we should be in Europe next year, as we lose to Fulham in the FA Cup, losing the semi-finals of the Carabao to City to almost win another, and then in the Europa League finale, lose on penalties. Ange better come out with this quote again of winning in his 2nd season, because that's what we'll need. We finished low down as well in the Europa League, 17th. But when I did start this rebuild, I was genuinely shocked by the players that Forest have signed. We had an injured goalkeeper in Sells. We had a really good team around him with our midfield, being this that has played Dominguez, Gibbs-White and Anderson. Zinchenko, like I said, our weak spot. And then we've got Bakwa on the bench. Cali Mwendo down here, Douglas Luiz. McAtee's even got game time. And Cunha, who's only 21, 6'6", tall centre-back. As Murillo is our best player, but he has submitted a transfer request. Gibbs-White, funnily enough, hasn't, because Marinakis probably kidnapped him and kept him here. But one thing I'm doing next season, if a big club comes in for one of our players, I am going to probably sell, because I think that's the realistic thing to do. Plus, Forest have signed a lot of young players, as our best player was Dan Ndoye, goal-scoring-wise, as we've changed him around to a right winger. We're going to change Hudson-Odoi to a left, and Ryan Yatesy, I want to keep him around. He's going going to be a centre-back. Alongside Bakwa and McAtee, I've just changed to right wingers and cams because I really want to get this youth through if players are to be sold. As if you're sold on the channel and do enjoy Nottingham Forest builds, there'll be plenty more after this one. So make sure you subscribe and also leave a like. As I am very excited for this second season, and yes, we've just had a good one, but changes will be made, not just to that left back spot. But up front, Chris Wood is 34 years of age now. Also around the team, Dominguez isn't the youngest, same as Milenkovic and Sells, who I believe won goalkeeper Golden Glove, or was close to it last season, as we've got £99 million for Ange to dance with. But like I said, I am going to take bids into account for some of our current players, as we haven't even signed one to the club yet. And we're already thinking about offers coming in. I know career mode's a bit glitched, but I'm not going to reject this from Liverpool, for example, for Dylan Bakwa. I don't think it's going to go through, though, because, yeah, like I say, career mode's glitched. They fixed the instant selling. Now, you can't sell anyone at all, unless given the option to accept it, and accept it I have for Gibbs White, who's finally got his move away. Hopefully Marinakis will not follow him to Real Madrid, and Kalimawendo, who I thought would be our next starting striker. He has jetted off to be the starter over at the Camp Nou. Mental move. I really thought he would be the Chris Wood replacement. We still do have another striker, and maybe we do sign one more. As Igor Jesus, or Jesus, I don't know how you pronounce it. He's probably going to start in my team as McAtee's in to Cam, but then I'm going to take him out for Hutchinson just for now. I love McAtee. I probably love his brother more, John McAtee. This man played for the club I support, and this man runs rings around every single defence you got, big or small. He is just the best player going. Getting emotional just thinking about it, but here we go. Ibrahim Sangare is one midfielder out of the club, but I don't plan on getting another one in this season. I'm going to leave it, as I have no idea how he's gone to Athletic Club, as he ain't Basque. And now, the role we look for is left back. Aina is 29. I thought he was a lot younger due to his pace. Then we've got Savonne, but I don't think he's ever going to start for us. So what I'm going to do is move Neko over to the right-hand side, like so. And bring in the main man, who I think Big Ange will be very, very satisfied with. Jordan Boss, a 23-year-old left-back with 94 pace, 80 physical, and he's also Australian. Big Ange will be loving it, as yes, he's the lowest rated. Still, same lines as Hutchinson, and Hutchinson staying in our team. As one thing I didn't realise as well, we've got Jota Silva, the B-Tech Grealish, Awonyi, Cunha, he's going to have to get on the bench somehow. With that actually being our subs, now we do lack a centre mid. Now Yates is going to be a centre back, so centre mid, maybe another striker is what we go in for after we cut ties on just a few more players. Chris Wood being the shocker, as I didn't show you how many goals he scored last season. It wasn't as many as you thought. And I do have someone else in mind. Or never mind player in mind, I'm on about I've got a club in mind we can sign from. The other club the owner owns, and that is Olympiakos out here in Greece, as we've got Biakon, who I'm pretty sure was sold from Forest in a dodgy deal back to this club. We've got Santiago Heze, genuinely looks like Dominguez, but a bit younger, also Argentine. So I'm going to bring him to the club. This man's going to be our hidden gem in the midfield, who I do trust as it is. I mean, McAtee may just slip off the bench here. Oh no, he doesn't. We've got Dominguez there, McAtee, Bakwa, and McNelly, as definitely need a striker. I'm going to push Bakwa in alongside Jesus. As yes, Matt Sells safe for yet another season, the 34-year-old, as we aim to save our season with a similar build to Chris Wood. Over 100 million spent, and it is a good job we've got the new man in. I'm going to show you him in a second, as it leads to a leave of absence. Maybe Jesus isn't happy with game time because he is going to play below the new man, and I'm going to give him time off because Jesus, I do want to work out here. But maybe the new man coming in wasn't the best idea overall, because after a bit of scouting on our budget, it seems we've got financial problems. The Premier League are onto us for an audit because we signed this man for a lot of money, so maybe they've looked into the signing of Marwan or Marowan, whatever you want to call him. He's got that strong play style. He's not pacey, but he's got strength and shooting, same as Chris Wood, who went out, but he is younger, as here's the best players at the club, as you can see. we've got Ndoye and Bakwa, as you might have just seen a moment ago in the lineup. Ndoye's gone back to the left with Bakwa on the right. Unfortunately, moving Hudson-Odoi to the bench, who was pre-Postecoglou, one of Forest's best players without a doubt, but sometimes you just don't work out under a manager once a new manager comes in, because he scored less than Bakwa and Ndoye, with Marouane on top. 24 goals in 44 games, as that's right, a lot of games, because Nottingham Forest did qualify for Europe under Ange, and we did have the 4th top scorer in the Premier League. It's no Chris Wood levels, but Marouane, 1 goal off Erling Haaland. That's motivational for sure, but it's not good in the Premier League. Regression. Only because of draws, though. 8th position. 9 points off the FA Cup winners Manchester United in getting a UCL spot, which we didn't go ahead and do. Losing to Crystal Palace is never a bad thing. Same as Brentford on a penalty shootout. Anyone can win in round 3 of the Carabao, just like my club Grimsby Town did. And then we look at the Conference League. It's 13th. Stinky again. We're having to go through the playoffs. But Ange Postecoglou always said he wins things in his 2nd season, surely? Well, no, because at the City Ground in the UEFA Conference League playoff round, Anderlecht come to our place and absolutely shock us. 2-1. Meaning this year, no European football, but Ange Postecoglou expected to be in the Champions League. Now, if you asked him for that this season, if he isn't already sacked by the time we're recording this, he stands no chance, as I don't know who would. Maybe Nuno if he was still in charge here. Sorry, Forest fans, it's probably not the thing you like to hear. But Nuno has left West Ham. Arteta's in. Simeone's gone to Tottenham to replace Frank. And then Xabi, I'm guessing that's Xabi Alonso maybe, taking over there. Amire to Chelsea. Enzo to Atleti. Simeone Inzaghi goes to Aston Villa. What is happening here? What is this manager movement? Pep Guardiola to Burnley. Pep to Burnley. Christ, you've got to love manager Marquez. They really do add entertainment into career mode. As anyway, back to focusing on ourselves, our underperforming selves that is. As left back, I don't think the experiments worked with Jordan Boss. Then again, I don't think we need to sign a new one. We can get Nico back to left back, keep Aina at the right. Goalkeeper definitely needs an upgrade. As Hutchinson, is he the best? No. Do I trust him? Yes. Because behind him is McAtee, and then Hudson-Odoi is another winger we have here. The reserves are stacked up with almost an 80 rated Carmo. Morato down here, Savona, Ryan Yates, I refuse to let go of, as I'll probably sit him on the bench for this next season. Budget has gone down after the PGMOL looked into us for having that big one. We've got 81 now, and we've got a position swap in Dan and Ndoye. Back to the left-hand side he goes. And Dominguez, still fighting for that centre-mid position from Heze. And here comes a sale for a player though, so now this opens us up another position. We need to signing Matt Sells. We sold him on a cheap to Villa. With Olaina to Strasbourg. He's not afraid of going abroad, is the man. I remember him playing at Torino when he left Chelsea, and I give him his plaudits. He really tried to make a name for himself overseas, which is good when leaving an English academy. You've got to go and give it a go, as now we're looking to give a goalkeeper a go. But I do want to go better. I know that's stupid to say when Sells was literally a Golden Glove winner, or there and thereabouts one, as we do bring in another Brazilian player in Andrew to replace him. Just Andrew, he's got no other name, and 90 kicking, so yeah, right back. Hutchinson remains. We don't remain in Europe, but we goddamn fight for it this year. As no other sales, no big business, no rushing around to get someone. As if the PGMOL don't stop us from signing this man, we've spent a lot of money on him. Oh no. Oh no, oh no. To say we've put high life points on, I would have loved one to stop us going to this. 5th. We've just missed out on Champions League by a point, which we really needed to be in. I can't take any more Europa. At least it's not the Conference League and the FA Cup. Not one. We needed a trophy. This is Ange's 3rd season, not 2nd, and we're losing to Ipswich, who I believe are back in the Premier League. We don't have any European competition. Quarter-final penalty loss to Cardiff. You kidding me? In real life, Postecoglou's just been beaten by their rival Swansea. And this is the man we brought in. Javi Rodriguez, not James Rodriguez. Don't get excited just yet, or do get excited about our right back, not Cam, because Hutchinson. I would like James Rodriguez because he's still one of the lowest rated. Alongside Heze, still training as a centre mid. We've got Manawan at least doing well. And Undoy, 90 rated. I really rated him at the Euros for Switzerland. And then Manawan gets 21 goals. Dylan Bakwa, brilliant player with 17 and 16. That's 33 involvements for a player that's not even our highest rated, as Manawan's second top scorer in the league behind Victor Gyökeres. I don't see any Tottenham here, as they finish 8th, so at least Postecoglou in the back of his mind has that bragging right over his former team, who he does beat. And we've got to take the positives now. Gutting, but this is the only rebuild I've actually walked away from. As you can see, it's a different day. I've cut my nose, I've got a different t-shirt on, and I have tried to reevaluate where our problems lie, and I've got to say, I know we've signed Heze very recently. He needs to still change to a centre mid, with this potentially being where we sign. He has gone up a rating, however, leaving the lowest in the starting 11 now. Amari Hutchinson, only 24-year-old, competing with James McAtee, a year older, who I thought would be better. If we were doing a failed Wonder Kid series, he'd be at the top of the list after this rebuild. We really haven't helped him out, and the board are helping us every year. 184 million, backing Ange Postecoglou, who has to win the trophy he's already won. I want that Europa League winning. I want the Champions League winning as well. Well, of course I do, but just reaching, should I say, because the players we've got are amazing. I'm not going to touch the front three. So yeah, just 2 midfielders. Maybe work on this bench a little. I've got my Australian I want to keep, but we could do with another goalkeeper. If we do want to win more than 1 trophy, Angus Gunn isn't our answer. Yatesy stays on the bench, obviously. I do trust Silva and Cunha, and the reserves are all right as well. So yeah, signings have to be in their bucket loads, but quality as well. And with Marinakis and Ange's Greek links, I'm going to move from Australia to finding the next Greek wonder kid. And there's plenty out there. I know the game likes to produce some, like Dimitros Kaloskamis, if I've said that correct, is an actual real-life player. But then you've got the likes of Janis Konstantelias at PIOK. Definitely looks okay. Could play centre mid and in that cam position. Just grown a little bit past us. And Christos Solis, the ex-glitched man in career mode, because he always turned invisible, will not be purchased in this save. I do need that cam position filling, so I'm going to make this video a lot harder for me because I can't really say his name quickly. Janis Konstantelias is here. Not as much as Rodriguez cost, the right back, who's actually one of our big improvements. No, he's not physical, but he is a Nottingham Forest fit. With the next backup goalkeeper being a homecoming for this man. He played for my club, Grimsby Town. Dean Henderson, who's been at the City ground before, returns to nearer home. Came through the Manchester United Academy, but did play for Nottingham Forest and played a big part, I think, in survival season, as we're definitely not surviving now. We've got to push on. 114 million left. Marinakis better not take this money away and go and fund his other projects. With another project he keeps looking at, Botafogo. They signed 3 players from there this year. Igor Jesus came from these. There's a cam right there we could have signed, but it was a little bit old. I think all these players aren't real ones. And no, there's no one here any good or even young. So I'm going to have to use my initiative, and I'm going to get a more recognizable Brazilian. This is Santos, becoming one of my favorite players in the game. He wasn't at Chelsea. He was sold to Getafe, in which he was 87 overall, so Chelsea don't want him. They loaned him before that, and now he's one of the 90 rated. We have 4 here at Forest, with a striker at an 88 rating. Manawan, is that an in-game face? I can't tell, but he's got 40 goals in 63 games. Surely a team of the season, and Bakwa did very well as well. Konstantelias has gone down a rating because he's been injured, I think, with an ACL, which is a bad one to get. And then we've got Heze. Hutchinson's back in the team. Hudson-Odoi I would have liked to be a cam, but I'll just keep him where he is. On the bench if he doesn't moan, and we did get a player of the year. 40 goals from Manawan gives him the trophy, which is great work, a place in the team of the year alongside Bakwa. A lot of Arsenal players though, so I don't think we're winning the Premier League this season, which was a slight aim in my head. We only lost 6 games and Ange Postecoglou once more finishes above Spurs and only 4 points better off than last year. But this year, it's Champions League football, which we needed, so get in there. Forest to go into the top tier continentally, if that is even a word, and then the FA Cup goes to Liverpool, the Merseyside derby finale there. We lost 2-1 to Fulham. Carabao, it was a final loss to Liverpool as well. That fills us with so much more confidence, only 1 defeat in the league phase, then beating Besiktas, and then moving on to Shakhtar, before Athletic Club 3-1, the beaters at the City ground, a bit like Midtjylland in real life. Forest just don't get over that hurdle. But with the team we've built now, I'm asking for a bigger hurdle than the one we've just faltered at, and a big squad. Just let me just try something maybe that could really help us out. No, he can't play cam, so Hudson-Odoi stays as a left wing backup, as Anderson could be further forward. We could get this team ticking more. So plan of action into season 6. I might be wrong on that, but I am going to go with Anderson right there and get a new centre mid in. Heze's okay. He's going to stay at the club, but we do need someone else there. And now 2 cams on the bench. It's a good job we didn't change Hudson-Odoi, as with that Champions League place comes a Champions League budget. 212 million from Marinakis, which is never usually the case, but we've got to win that Premier League, we've got to win the FA Cup, and the Champions League. Big aims for Big Ange, as do we go for maybe another Australian player? However, I don't see anyone from Australia being too good at this moment in the save. Any regens of sorts? I'm going to keep scrolling, maybe one over 75 rated. There is Castley Boss. And don't we already have a player called that? We do, maybe brothers. And that's really weird, isn't it? 2 Australian professionals, brothers, who are both left backs. If they're not brothers and they've got the same name, that's even more of a convenience, as any players recommended by the scout, we do need centre mids. I had to take 3 looks though at him. Arnaud Calimuendo still at Barca and still rocking it. Conrad Harder, a lot of strikers thrown our way. As when we skip to central midfielders, the board hasn't found anyone, or the scouts haven't. Great. The only position we really need, as Anderson hasn't made any progress in becoming a cam, maybe because we haven't been in games, as that dribbling just tells me he's going to succeed there. But we need someone of top quality, and Ligue 1 makes good midfielders, such as Lamine Camara, but I sign him so many times. In career mode, it's unreal. As speaking of unreal, PSG's midfield, who we're probably going to play this season, is Vitinha at a 91, Emre at a 87, then Sene Mayulu, who is the lowest ranked, Mokio as well, and even the main man Joao Neves. I think we can squeeze Sene in. He doesn't even cost all our budget, so I'm going to actually overoffer. Enrique's still at PSG. We know he ain't afraid of selling because he did sell Donnarumma, the Champions League winning goalkeeper. So Sene Mayulu, the Champions League finale scorer, comes to the City ground with, of course, the ex-Chelsea man last season in Santos. That looks a very decent midfield. And where's my manners? Season 5 or 6, we've got to check the manager market. That's what I always say. As Rui Borges has gone to Al Hilal, sacking an Irish manager, Kean Roch. Did not expect to see that. He left Villa very soon, I'm guessing. A lot of managerial jobs all over the place. And a lot I actually didn't recognise, but I do recognise class because Dilane, Bakwa, +4, 95 overall in a team with the 93, a 92, 2 92s in fact, and we've got the 91 rated Moroccan star. Get it? Star because there's one on the badge or the flag. Marouane, who's actually outscored this season by Dilane Bakwa, getting 41 as managers. We've got Emre at Newcastle, Slot still in charge. Poye goes to Chelsea. Mental movement that, and it's mental how close we were to winning the Premier League. 1 draw, the difference maker, and then a 2-goal difference. It's a shame we didn't actually go and win it over Arsenal. That would have been nice for Postecoglou, ex-Tottenham, beaten by QPR here in the FA Cup, but we do end the season with a trophy, or the minimum of 1 trophy. Still the Champions League to go, beating a championship club in Middlesbrough in that finale. finale. Oh, stinky. We finished 16th in the Champions League phase. I saw Arsenal struggled a bit, and plus, I wouldn't like to be Ajax. In fact, I'd hate to be Ajax at this moment because we beat them 8-2. City were in them playoff games, and we beat Barcelona here before moving on to Red Bull Leipzig, and then beating Real Madrid to face the team I didn't expect. I thought we'd be playing PSG with the strength they had in depth, but it's going to be Manchester City. At the Bernabeu, I thought it was somewhere else, it said in the menu, but we'll have to go with it. Yeremi Doku, this will not be an easy test. Yes, we finished above them in the table. You know the team that's actually played. I didn't have to show you the team layout, as here goes Andres Santos here. Anderson's changed to a cam, so hopefully he works out in that cam position. Bakwa with the skills. Rodriguez with a cross near post towards Marwan, who I really want to get playing. And now Javi Rodriguez. That's a brilliant ball from Santos. Bakwa's actually kept himself on side with the goals he scored. He should be able to finesse, and he is. 95 rated Dylan Bakwa hitting one of the best shots and an iconic celebration saying, "Who, me? Did I actually score that?" Well, you did, Delane, because that's the quality you possess. Oh dear, and Manchester City trying to get an attack through the middle, which should not work out for them. But a tackle on Haaland, a pass into Anderson. Just gave a penalty away at the time of recording against Newcastle, as we need to get back in with Javi Rodriguez. No, Manchester City waking up. I don't like this. 2 away, because we're going to pass around the corner there. Mayulu, back to Ndoye. Another player with a playstyle plus, and he is 94 on this other wing. He should be quality himself. Sensin, he's the best in the game, as Bakwa cutting inside. They should know by now to not let him do that. Rodri with the pressure. Still, it's gone into Marwan. He's only getting the ball to feet. No crosses going into the big man, and that is where the big man thrives. We saw it with Chris Wood, and that's a brilliant spin by Williams. Forward, and Ndoye into Anderson. Smart back heel. If we can get it round to Elliot Anderson. Marwan is in the box again. It goes towards the back stick, and another save by the best goalkeeper in the game, as I've been trying for ages to get Hudson-Odoi onto the field now for Ndoye. There's no sign of the whistle unless it is the final one. What an interception. Williams just to go backwards. That tackle may have won Forest the Champions League. I think it was Mayulu who had a quiet game. Maybe it was Elliot Anderson, but it's enough to win that title. Getting there, coming back to the Forest ground, as there is Milenkovic lifting it into the midnight Spanish sky. I always like to say where it is, and of course we're playing at the Bernabeu. If you do want to see a rebuild maybe here with Real Madrid, I don't know, whoever you want to see, make sure to let me know in the comments below. As if you have enjoyed, click here for videos recommended to you.